Review of the Nerf rival Zeus. The Zeus is the flywheel semi-automatic blaster in the rival line. The rival blasters shoot the little foam balls. They are Nerf blasters made by Hasbro, but they don't shoot darts. They shoot these little yellow balls. Included is the blaster, a magazine, 2 rails that come detached, a few balls, and the instructions. Rail on the left, and the rail on the right. The Zeus is a battery-powered flywheel blaster. To get to the batteries, you remove the Phillips screw here, and the battery trays will just slide right out. The blaster requires 6C alkaline batteries to function. After you load up the tray, you slide it in and reinsert the screws. This blaster comes in blue and red. They are the same blaster with the same performance, so I'm just going to review one. Starting up at the front, very intimidating flash hider there, but it's not an in-strike attachment nozzle, so you can't put on your barrel extensions. Up in the top here, there is a flip-up sight that corresponds to the rear one. With this blaster, it might actually help you aim, which is pretty impressive. Then up here, there's a tactical rail on the top, on the side, and then also on the other side. This isn't really a traditional in-strike tactical rail, so you can't slide everything on just like you would, but it will actually fit the in-strike attachments if you sort of click them on there in a slightly different manner. Getting down to the trigger area, it is a semi-automatic blaster, so you have to pull the trigger every time you fire. And then the lower button is the rev trigger. This is a battery-powered blaster. It won't work without the batteries, and in order to rev up the flywheels, you have to hold down that rev trigger. After it's been revving, you pull the trigger, and then it launches a ball. On the other side, there is a safety lever. This safety lever deactivates your ability to hit the rev switch, so you can't rev the blaster anymore. And because of the existing locks, that means you also cannot pull the trigger. While everything else on this blaster is ambidextrous, that switch is only on the one side for right-handed users. Moving back, there's a sling mount under here, and then this orange thing, which is on both sides, is the magazine release. To release the magazines, you want to pull down on this orange thing on both sides, and while doing that, then you want to apply force to the magazine from either side, and it will kind of pop out. While this magazine does work in the rival Apollo, the rival Apollo magazine does not work with the Zeus. And that's of course because it's too small and it won't actually lock into place. It'll just sort of sit there and fall out. But this one's bigger. Why would you want to go lower cap? So it doesn't matter. Loading the magazine is a little bit weird, but it's kind of a bullpup style unorthodox loading mech, so it just takes some time. But in order to load, you put the tip in. Just the tip! Then you sort of slide the rear end in order to lock into the magazine lock back here. And when it's in place, it is pretty stable. I'm sure if you hit it hard enough, it'll come out, but what magazine won't? To shoot the Zeus, you get some of the foam balls and put them in the magazine, put the magazine into the blaster, rev up with the rev button here, and then pull the trigger.
Shoot. Oh no!
It's gonna get everywhere. I measured an average velocity of 89 feet per second, averaged over 10 balls. While compared to the Nerf Elite blasters at 70 feet per second average, or roundabout, that is substantially faster. Compared to the rival Apollo though, it is about 10 feet per second under that's average, and the advertised velocity of these blasters was about 100 feet per second, so it's coming up a bit short. Keep in mind the velocity of a rival ball compared to Nerf Elite dart can't be directly related. This will not necessarily shoot further than a Nerf Elite dart. That's due to the aerodynamic properties of a ball compared to a dart. In my range test, they actually shoot about the same range, but the initial velocity of the rival blasters are substantially faster. What does that mean practically speaking? If you're outdoors nerfing, shooting about 70, 80 feet away, and you have to lob some darts in, it won't be an advantage to use a rival blaster. But if you're at close range, that initial velocity, these things shoot so fast right out of the barrel that if you're inside a house or something, it's a really big advantage to have a rival gun. They shoot super fast. And beyond the initial velocity, the grouping of these balls is super tight. It's pretty consistent. It's nice to see that in a Nerf blaster because most Nerf guns are terribly inaccurate with the Nerf Elite darts. So getting to my overall opinion of the rival Zeus, overall I'm pretty satisfied with the blaster. It's really cool. It shoots really hard and it groups really tightly. If you shoot indoor, I wouldn't even hesitate to recommend this thing. The semi-auto fire, the magazines, it's a really fun blaster to use. The ergonomics of the shell feel really nice. It feels kind of like a, what's it called, like an F-2000 or something, that bullpup style thing. It feels really nice. It's comfortable and oversized for an adult, which is nice. My biggest gripes would be the slightly lower velocity from the Zeus compared to the Apollo, which is going to be its main competitor. If all of your friends want to use the same ammo and shoot balls at each other, there are only going to be 2 blasters out on the field, this and the Apollo. So that 10 FPS difference might be a disadvantage or an advantage, but then you're shooting a little faster with semi-auto. My biggest gripe on this blaster is actually the magazine. I think it looks cool and it's kind of fun to use, but it's not especially fast to use or practical. Unloading kind of takes 2 hands because you have to pull down on this rather abruptly and then push through the magazine. And then since you're using both hands, one to steady the blaster and one to reload, there's not another hand left to catch this mag. Beyond unloading, loading is a little bit weird because you can't just put it in and slam it in, because if you slam too hard, it'll just pop out the other side. Honestly, I'm a little surprised they didn't just have a slot in the rear where you just ram it in like a traditional magazine, and then you have a button on the side and it ejects rear. That would be the most practical magazine, in my opinion, for this kind of design. But I do have to compliment the balance and the weight of the blaster. It is nice that you put the C batteries throughout the whole blaster, so the weighting is not just all up in the battery pack, like in a Rapid Strike or a Stampede, where you're just like, whoa, it's back heavy, or whoa, it's front heavy. This is kind of everywhere, so it feels really nice. So beyond my gripe about the magazine, overall it works exactly as you would expect. The performance is super fun at close range, inside houses or whatever. Cost is also kind of a big deal, because these balls are more expensive than Nerf Elite Darts right now, so that could be a break point for a lot of people. But beyond the cost and the magazine thing, definitely a fun blaster, highly recommended if this is your style. And again, it does come in 2 colors. The performance and ergonomics and all of that are the same, it's just a different color. But that is my opinion and review of the Nerf rival Zeus. If you're interested in purchasing one, there is a buy link in the description box below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.